The sky over planet Jera was quiet, filled with 2 moons and soft blue clouds. The land below was calm green forests, silver rivers, and strange glowing plants. The Xyrans, a peaceful alien race, lived here for thousands of years without war or danger. But all that changed in one moment. A loud boom shook the sky. A fireball flew down like lightning and crashed into the forest. Trees exploded, birds screamed, animals ran, and smoke rose high into the sky. Riza, a young Shiran, stood on top of a hill and watched the fire. Her skin shimmered with soft green light, her eyes wide with fear and curiosity. She had never seen anything like this before. It was not a natural thing. It was something from the stars. She picked up her small crystal blade, tied her robe tighter, and ran toward the crash site. Her heart beat faster with every step. The air smelled like burnt metal and fire. The ground was hot and shaking. As she reached the crash site, she hid behind a large glowing rock. Smoke filled the air. But she could see a strange object lying in the dirt. It was a metal pod, broken and burning inside it. Something moved, coughing. A human soldier rolled out of the pod. His suit was torn, his arm bleeding, and his face full of pain. He dragged himself toward a small bag, opened it, and pulled out a metallic syringe. Riza's eyes locked on the human. She had heard stories about humans, dangerous, smart, and full of war. But this one looked weak, scared, and almost dead. The human looked around and saw her. He smiled, barely able to breathe, and spoke, "You're not one of them," he whispered. Riza stepped closer, still ready to run. "One of who?" she asked. "They're coming," the human said, pressing the syringe into her hands. "Don't trust anyone. Protect yourself." Before Riza could speak again, the man collapsed and stopped moving. Silence returned to the forest. Only the sound of wind and fire remained. Riza looked at the syringe in her hands. It was smooth, silver, and had a glowing blue liquid inside. She felt something inside her tell her to throw it away, but she didn't. Something whispered. In her mind, use it. Her hands shook as she held it to her neck. Her mind screamed no, but her heart said yes. She closed her eyes and pushed the needle in. Pain shot through her body like fire. Her knees hit the ground, and her screams echoed through the trees. Her skin burned, her veins glowed blue, and her eyes rolled back. Then, silence. A few minutes passed. Riza slowly stood up. Her breathing was calm now. Her eyes glowed bright white, and her body felt powerful. She looked at her hands. Sparks of energy danced between her fingers. She touched a rock nearby, and it cracked in half. Riza took a step back, shocked and confused. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. Then she heard them. Machines. Flying in the sky, dark and fast, they landed near the crash site's small human ships. Soldiers in armor stepped out, carrying weapons. One of them looked at the dead soldier on the ground. "We're too late," he said. Another picked up a device and scanned the area. "Someone else is here. The serum is missing." Riza stepped back into the shadows. Hiding behind trees, her heart pounded. They were here for the syringe. The thing now inside her, one of the soldiers pointed. Over their movement, she ran, faster than ever before. Trees flew past her. The wind roared in her ears. Her feet barely touched the ground. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she had to get away. Energy flowed through her like fire and ice. She wasn't just Riza anymore. Something had changed inside her, something she couldn't understand. When she finally stopped, she was miles away. She looked at the sky, saw the ships flying overhead, and whispered to herself, "I'm not normal now. I'm something else." But what exactly had the human given her? And why did it feel like something inside her was ... waking up? As the sun set, Riza sat under a glowing tree. Her hands sparked with power. Her eyes stared into the dark forest. She knew this was just the beginning. They were hunting her, and something inside her was beginning to hunt them back. The wind had changed. It no longer felt soft and peaceful like it used to. It now whispered secrets, warnings, and strange voices. Riza stood in the middle of a silent clearing, her feet touching cracked earth, her hands glowing softly. She stared at her reflection in a pool of water, and she didn't recognize herself anymore. Her eyes, once silver like moonlight, were now glowing white. Her veins shimmered under her skin, moving with a strange blue light. She touched her face, afraid, confused, and yet, somewhere deep inside, excited. A bird flew above her and landed on a tree branch. It chirped softly, then suddenly screamed and flew away in panic. Riza had not moved, but something around her had a small wave of invisible force pushed out. From her body, shaking the leaves and grass, she gasped and looked at her hands. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. Her voice echoed with a slight vibration, not fully hers anymore. Then she heard footsteps, soft but fast, approaching from the west. Riza quickly hid behind a tree. Breathing slowly, her senses had changed. She could hear heartbeats, smell fear, and feel movement through the air. A group of Sharpened hunters arrived in the clearing, their armor shining with green light. They were sent by the elders to find Riza, but not to help her, to stop her. "She is infected," one of them said. "The serum has changed her. We must capture her or destroy her," said another, "before she loses control." Riza's heart broke. These were her own people. They feared her now, not for what she had done, but for what she had become. Suddenly, a loud cracking sound echoed from the sky. A human drone flew above the trees. Scanning the forest, its red eyes glowed, and it fired a warning shot. The Sharpened hunters looked up. "They found us," one of them shouted. Chaos followed. The drone fired again, and the ground exploded near them. Trees fell, animals ran, and the hunters scattered. Keitha felt something rise inside her, like heat under pressure, like fire trapped in her chest. Her body moved on its own. She ran into the clearing, raised her hand, and pointed at the drone. Without thinking, she released a pulse of blue energy. It shot out from her palm like lightning and hit the drone. The machine sparked and crashed into the ground. She stared at her hand in shock. "I didn't mean to do that," she whispered. The Sharpened hunters looked at her, now with both fear and awe. "She's not just changed," one of them said. "She's powerful," before anyone could speak again. The ground shook beneath them. More human ships were coming, loud and heavy. They didn't care who they hurt. They wanted the serum back. One of the hunters grabbed Riza's arm. "Run," he said. "You don't understand what they'll do if they catch you." Riza pulled away. "No, I need answers," she said. "I need to know what this thing inside me really is." The hunter looked into her glowing eyes, nodded slowly, and whispered, "Then you must find the human scientist who made it. He lives in the Iron Valley, beyond the Dark Mountains." Before Riza could respond, a ship fired from the sky. An explosion knocked everyone down. Riza's vision blurred. Her ears rang, and her chest burned. She stood up slowly, dust and fire around her. The other hunters were gone, captured or escaped. She was alone again, but not weak. Riza turned to the mountains in the distance. Her journey had begun. She didn't fully understand the serum inside her, but one thing was clear. It had made her stronger, faster, and something else too. A part of her was no longer Sharpened. A voice inside her whispered strategies, calculated danger, and told her how to survive. It was the human part of the serum, and it was growing louder every hour. She ran through the forest, trees moving past her like shadows. Her speed was not natural anymore. She jumped over rivers, climbed rocky cliffs with her bare hands, and reached the mountain edge by sunset. There, standing alone under a darkening sky, She looked back at the burning forest. The people she loved were gone. The world she knew was gone, and in its place, a new future, one filled with danger, secrets, and power. Her fingers sparked again. Not with fear, but control. She clenched her fists, looked up at the stars, and whispered, "I will find the truth." But she didn't know, far above her, in a human ship orbiting the planet, Dr. Marlowe had already seen the drone footage, and he was smiling. It worked. He said to his team, "She survived the serum, but for how long?" Someone asked. Dr. Marlowe looked at the screen, paused, and said, "She's not just surviving, she's evolving." The truth about the serum, the wind howled across the Iron Valley, carrying the sound of machines far in the distance. Riza stood at the edge of the cliffs, staring down at a hidden human research base. Half buried in the mountain, it looked old, but alive, glowing lights, moving shadows, and deep mechanical sounds from within. Her journey had taken days. Her feet were bleeding, her arms covered in scratches, but her eyes still glowed, and her body never felt tired. Not anymore. She didn't understand what she was becoming, but she knew where the answers waited, inside that lab. The night was silent, except for the humming of energy fences. Riza crouched behind a rock, watching the guards. They looked human, but wore helmets with black visors. They didn't speak, just moved like machines. She waited for the right moment. Then she ran, fast like a ghost, her feet silent on the rocks. With one leap, she jumped over the fence, landed between two guards, and moved before they even turned. A flash of blue light knocked them both down, not dead, just sleeping. She didn't want to kill anyone. Not yet. Inside the base, the hallways were cold and full of metal walls. Every sound echoed: footsteps, doors hissing open, alarms clicking softly. Riza followed the signs deeper and deeper, until she found a door marked Bioweapon Research. It slid open with a hiss, and there he was, Dr. Marlowe, an old human with silver hair, one cybernetic eye, and a white coat. He stood in front of a large screen, showing her face from the crash site. Her glowing eyes, her energy blasts, her escape. "I was expecting you," he said without turning around. Riza stepped forward, her voice firm. "What did you put inside me?" Dr. Marlowe slowly turned, smiling. "A gift," he said. "A mistake," he corrected himself. "Or maybe the future." Riza's fists tightened. "Explain." He walked toward a glass tank in the center of the room. Inside floated another syringe, the same as the one she had taken. "This," he said, "was designed to make humans stronger, smarter, faster, a way to win wars without building armies." "But it failed, didn't it?" Riza asked. He nodded slowly. "Yes. On humans, it caused madness, body breakdown, total loss of control. Every test subject died within days. Then why give it to a dying soldier?" She asked. "Because he begged me," Marlowe said. "And he said one thing before he left: if I die, someone else might live. He believed someone could survive it. Maybe not human." Riza stepped back, her chest tight. "You didn't test it on aliens before." "No," Marlowe said, "but you are different. You didn't just survive. You adapted." Riza shook her head. "I feel something changing inside me, like a voice that's not mine, like something growing." Dr. Marlowe looked serious now. "Yes, because the serum doesn't just give power. It rewrites your DNA. It finds your weaknesses, your fears, and replaces them. You're not Riza anymore. Not fully." Riza's voice cracked. "Then what am I?" Marlowe turned back to the screen, showing her fighting the drone. "You are the only successful hybrid of alien and human design. You are the weapon we couldn't make, but nature did." Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the room. A voice echoed through the speakers. "Unauthorized subject detected. Lab lockdown initiated." Riza turned to leave, but the doors slammed shut. Marlowe didn't panic. He pressed a button and a hidden floor panel opened. A metal chamber rose from the ground. "If you want to leave," he said, "you'll have." To pass a test, the chamber opened and a tall figure stepped out. Another creature. Half human, half machine. Its eyes glowed red. Its arms turned into blades. "This is Subject 9, Marlowe said, "the last one who survived." For 3 minutes, Risa didn't wait. The fight began. Subject 9 charged. Fast and violent, Risa dodged, then punched her fist, cracked its armor, sparks flew. The creature screamed and slashed at her chest, but she jumped back. Power pulsed. In her hands, she sent a blast of energy that pushed the creature across the room. But it stood again, stronger than before. Risa closed her eyes. She let the serum take over for just a moment. Her movements became faster, sharper. She moved like she already knew what would happen next. She attacked again and again, until Subject 9 fell to the floor. Silent, she stood over it, shaking, breathing. Hard, Dr. Marlowe clapped slowly. "Brilliant," he said. "You're learning to use it. I don't want to be your weapon." Risa said. Marlowe smiled. "You already are." The doors opened behind her. She ran into the night again, leaving the lab, the scientist, and the dead machine behind. But now she knew the truth. She was changing. She was becoming something new, and it wouldn't stop. The escape the night sky above Jira was broken by lights red, white, and gold. They weren't stars. They were human ships. Risa stood on the roof of the research lab, wind pushing through her hair. Below her, alarms echoed through the mountain. Base. The humans had realized she escaped the test chamber. Now, they were locking everything down. But Risa had no plans to stay. Her body felt different. Stronger, yes, but also heavier. Like something inside was pulling her in many directions. The serum wasn't just changing her body. It was touching her mind, too. She heard whispers again, not from outside, but from within. A voice that didn't belong to her, telling her to fight, to destroy, to conquer. She shook her head. "I am not your puppet," she whispered. Below, human soldiers filled the halls. Some carried stun weapons, others carried fire rifles. All were afraid, though they wouldn't admit it. Risa jumped down, landing silently in the middle of a walkway. A guard spotted her and shouted, "Target on lower deck." Lights turned red, walls began to close. Metal doors slid down from ceilings and floors. But Risa moved fast, too fast. She ran through the corridor, her feet barely touching the ground. She kicked one wall, flipped over a guard, and dodged a laser shot with inhuman speed. A soldier tried to grab her. She touched his arm, and energy shot through his armor. He collapsed with a groan. Not dead, just unconscious. She didn't want to kill, not unless she had to. But the base didn't care. It activated its last defense. Out from a hidden chamber rolled 4-legged machines, hunter droids. Armed with shock claws and stun rays, they moved without fear. Without rest, they were built to catch things like her. Risa backed into a corner, heart pounding. One droid leaped at her. Its claws flashing, she dodged to the side, slammed her fist into its chest. The machine sparked and fell, but 3 others came behind it. She raised both hands, closed her eyes, and let the serum flow freely. Energy exploded from her body like a wave. Blue light spread through the hallway, melting steel and crushing walls. The droids were thrown against the ceiling, pieces falling like rain. The alarm stopped, the hallway went dark. Smoke filled the air, and Risa, glowing like a star, walked through it. She passed the final door, reached the elevator, and smashed the controls. The platform rose, shaking with every level passed, up and up, until the surface light touched her skin. The top hatch opened, and cold air kissed her face, but she wasn't alone. Dr. Marlowe stood beside a waiting hovercraft. A strange look on his face. He didn't run, he didn't shout, he just watched her. "You're still in control," he said quietly. "For now," Riza replied, stepping out of the base. "I know it's hard," he said. "The serum? It's waking things inside you, not just powers, but memories, instincts, from both alien and human past." "I didn't ask for this," she said, her voice hard. "No," he nodded, "but the universe doesn't ask. It just gives or takes." "Why?" "Let me go," Riza asked. "You think I can't stop you?" "I know I can't," Marlowe said honestly. "But I want to see what you become." She walked past him, toward the cliff behind her. The hovercraft lifted into the air, flying. The other way, Marlowe didn't follow. He simply disappeared into the sky. Riza stood at the edge, the forest stretching below her. She felt the wind again. This time, it carried a different sound, a distant scream and fire. She looked down to see smoke rising from her home. The Chiron city was under attack. Human ships flew over the treetops, firing at buildings, sending shockwaves. Through the trees, her people, the ones who had feared her, cast her out, were now in danger, and she was the only one who could help them. She clenched her fists. The serum pulsed. It wanted war, but Riza didn't. Still, she would fight. She turned toward the smoke, eyes glowing brighter than ever, not because she was angry, but because now she understood the humans didn't just want the serum. They wanted to erase every trace of what it could become, including her, but she wasn't running anymore. This time, she was going to fight back, and this time, they would. Learn what real fear was, not from machines, not from guns, but from one girl who drank their weapon, became something far more dangerous. The hidden weapon, the forest, burned in the distance. Orange flames lit up the sky like a second sun. The Chiron city, Riza's home, was under attack. But Riza wasn't running toward the fire. She was following a voice that didn't come from outside. It whispered inside her mind, low and deep. It called her toward the eastern ridge. Away from the battle, she should have gone to help her people, but something stronger pulled her away. Not fear, not confusion, instinct. The serum inside her had changed her body, her strength, her speed. Now it was changing her path by sunrise. Riza stood at the edge of an ancient ruin, stone towers broken by time, vines crawling over statues with forgotten faces. No Chiron had been here in centuries. No human even knew this place existed. But Riza did, not through memory, through the serum. The deeper she walked into the ruins, the louder the voice became. It was not a language she understood, but somehow she felt it. Symbols glowed beneath her feet. Blue like the serum, alive. At the heart of the ruin, she found an underground chamber, a circular room, filled with crystal lights and carvings older than her world. She placed her hand on a round stone in the center, and the room answered. Walls shifted, a platform rose, a vision appeared, not a dream, not a message, but a memory, not hers. But one buried deep in the serum. She saw an alien city, filled with energy and color, a place not from her world, not from Earth, but from somewhere far older. Humans were not the first to build weapons long ago. A race called the Viari created a bioweapon, a living serum that could rewrite the body, mind, and soul. They wanted to survive extinction, so they turned their greatest warriors into walking gods. But it went wrong. The warriors lost control, destroyed the Viar, and burned entire planets. The serum was sealed, hidden away, until humans found it again, buried deep in an asteroid. They didn't understand it. They just called it Project Rebirth, and now Riza, neither human nor Viari, had become the first living heir to both. The vision faded. Riza dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Her hands shook. Her heart raced. She wasn't just a mistake. She was a link to an ancient war. A war that never ended, just went silent. She stood up, fire in her eyes. "I'm not their weapon," she said. "I'm not their experiment, but I am something." More, a whisper echoed through the chamber. Not from the serum, from someone real. "You were never meant to find this place." Riza turned sharply. A hooded figure stood at the entrance. Tall, calm, dangerous. "Who are you?" she asked. The figure pulled back his hood. He was Chiron, but old, covered in marks and scars. "I am Talon, the last guardian of the seal," he said. "My duty was to keep this secret buried." "Why?" Riza demanded. "Because the galaxy isn't ready for what you are," Talon said. "You are not just powerful. You are proof." "Proof of what?" "That the war will start again." Talon raised his hand. And the stone walls around them shifted. A star map appeared in the air. Stars, blinking red. Lines showing paths of ancient ships. "The Vyar left more than one serum," he said. "And now that you've activated this one, the others may awaken too." Riza stepped closer. "So what happens now?" "You must choose," Talon said. "Hide. And let the humans and others fight over what's left, or rise and become the thing they fear." "I don't want to be feared," Riza said. "I want to protect what's left." Then, "Learn to control what's inside you," he said, "because soon they will all come for it." Riza looked at the glowing map. Dozens of red stars blinked like warnings. Ships were already on the move. Marlowe, the humans. Others from far planets, all searching, all hunting. She closed her eyes. She could feel the serum pulsing through her blood, but she could also feel something else now, a second energy. Older, deeper. It had been waiting for someone like Ali. It had been waiting for someone like her, not a soldier, not a destroyer, but a survivor. She opened her eyes, looked at Talon and said, "Teach me." He nodded slowly. "The storm is coming." He said, "And you, Riza, are its center. The war begins." The sky above Jera cracked open like glass. Not from nature, but from war. Human warships floated. Like dark clouds blocking the sun, Chiron defense towers lit up with green beams. Firing into the sky, explosions filled the air. Trees burned, buildings shook. The peaceful world Riza once knew was gone. The war had begun, and at the heart of it stood one person, half Chiron, half something else. Riza, she stood on a cliff, overlooking the chaos. Her eyes glowed with white light, her body pulsing with silent energy. Behind her stood Talon, the last guardian. Beside her floated a small, glowing orb, a Vyari relic, unlocked by her touch. "You said they would come," Riza said. Talon nodded slowly, "And now they're here." Ships dropped from the sky, releasing human soldiers in armored suits. Some carried weapons. Others carried capture nets. They weren't here to destroy Riza. They were here to take her. But others came too, unknown to the humans. An old race called the Draken had also arrived, silent hunters from deep space. They had followed the Vyari signal. They wanted the serum, or whatever Riza was becoming. In the burning valley below, humans fought Zyrans. Draken attacked both sides, and Riza watched, her heart torn. She didn't belong to any of them now. But she had to make a choice. "Will you fight?" Talon asked. "I don't want to," Riza said, "but they've given me no choice." Her hands lit up with glowing energy. The ground under her cracked with pressure. Waves of light rippled from her feet. Talon stepped back, his voice steady. "Then go. Not as their weapon, not as their enemy, but as your own force." Riza took one deep breath and jumped. She flew from the cliff, landing in the middle of the battlefield like lightning. Dust and light exploded around her. Soldiers turned, aiming weapons. Draken hunters hissed and charged. But Riza moved like wind. She spun, jumped, and released controlled blasts of energy. She knocked down mechs, disarmed soldiers, and melted nets before they reached her. I don't want to kill you, she shouted, but I will protect my world. A human commander shouted orders. Target the hybrid, full force. Machines turned toward her. Dozens of drones launched into the sky. They formed a circle around her, preparing a focused energy beam. Riza raised her arms. The serum responded. A glowing shield of pure light formed around her. The drones fired. But their beams bounced off. Her shield held. Inside her, two voices now spoke. One Chiron, calm and wise. The other Vieri, ancient and full of power. For the first time, they didn't argue. They merged. She stopped holding back with a single cry. Riza sent out a shockwave. It spread like fire, knocking machines from the sky and pushing soldiers back, but she didn't harm them, only disabled. A silence followed. Smoke and ash filled the air. And from the shadows stepped the one person she didn't expect, Dr. Marlowe. Alive, armored, and smiling. Beautiful, he said. You've become exactly what I dreamed. Riza's eyes narrowed. You started this. I gave you a chance. He replied, the rest. You chose, I chose to survive, she said, and now I choose to end this. He raised a hand, and from the sky came a new threat, a massive warship. Larger than the rest, its center glowed with the same energy as the serum. You're not the only one who adapted, Marlowe said. We copied your blood. Built something greater. The ship opened, and something stepped out. Not human, not machine. A clone. It looked like Riza. Moved like her, but its eyes were empty. This is Subject Zero, Marlowe said. Born from your DNA. Stripped of thought. Pure power. The clone charged, faster than lightning. Riza barely dodged. They fought across the battlefield to forces with the same strength, same speed, but only one had a soul. Riza blocked, jumped, countered. But the clone didn't feel pain, didn't hesitate. It moved like a shadow, precise and cold. Riza fell to one knee. The clone raised its hand for the final strike. Then something inside Riza changed. Not power, not anger, purpose. She didn't fight with rage. She fought with meaning, to protect, not destroy. She closed her eyes, reached deep within, and found a hidden thread of energy, the last spark of the Veri's true design. Not war, but balance. She opened her eyes, and time slowed. She saw every movement before it happened. She moved with peace, not force. She touched the clone's chest and whispered, "You're not me." A wave of pure light spread through the clone, and it stopped, frozen. Then slowly collapsed. Riza stood tall, covered in dust, heart steady. Marlowe stared in disbelief. "You shut it down," he whispered. "No." Riza said, "I healed it." The battlefield quieted. The war paused, and, for the first time in days, hope returned. The final stand, the world was silent. Smoke drifted over the broken trees. The battlefield was still. Ships hovered above, but they didn't fire. Soldiers stood frozen, weapons lowered. Everyone watched one figure in the center, Riza, glowing, softly, breathing slowly, standing over the fallen clone. She didn't cheer. She didn't smile. She simply looked up, knowing the fight wasn't over. Dr. Marlowe stood near the wreckage of his ship, his face pale, his hands shaking. "You were never meant to win," he said quietly. Riza walked toward him, her steps calm. "You wanted control," she said, "but the serum never belonged to you." "It belongs to no one," he answered. "It is too dangerous." "Too alive and still," Riza said. "You tried to turn it into a weapon." He looked away, guilt flickering in his eyes. "I thought I was saving humanity." "You nearly destroyed everything," she said. "Not just my world, yours too." Above them, the massive warship hummed. It still had power, and deep inside it, a core made from cloned serum energy. Unstable and growing, Tolan appeared beside Riza, his robe torn, his staff cracked. "The ship is waking up," he said. "It thinks the war isn't over." Riza turned toward the sky. She could feel the energy pulling her upward, calling her. The serum inside her answered. Not with words, but with feeling. The warship was alive, not fully machine, not fully conscious. But it had one purpose. Complete the mission. Destroy the threat. Destroy Riza. "I have to go," Riza said. Talon touched her shoulder. "You don't." "Have to go alone?" She looked at him, smiled softly. "I do. This ends with me." She rose into the air, her body shining like a star. Wings of light formed behind her, made of energy and memory. She flew higher, through the smoke, past the drones. Into the mouth of the great warship. Inside, it was dark and quiet. But she could feel the heartbeat of the core. Loud, angry, afraid. The walls pulsed like veins. The lights flickered with emotion. "This is not what you were made for," she whispered. "You were built on fear." She reached the core, a glowing sphere. Swirling with unstable energy, it mirrored her light, but it didn't understand peace. Only survival, only war. Riza closed her eyes. She opened every part of herself. She let the serum speak. She let the Shiren wisdom flow. She let the Vyari past echo through her, and she gave it one final command. "Be still." The core trembled. Lights burst across the chamber. Panels cracked. The ship screamed like a dying beast, and then silence. A single pulse of blue light spread from Riza's body, gentle, complete. The warship stopped moving. It floated above Jira like a quiet moon. Below, the soldiers looked to the sky. The clone army powered down. Weapons fell from confused hands. Talon whispered. She did it, but Riza did not return. The ship remained quiet, and her light was no longer seen. Days passed. Jira began to heal. The fire faded. The rivers ran clean again. Zyrans walked their cities with sorrow and pride. The humans left, slowly, silently. No victory. No conquest, just respect. Dr. Marlowe disappeared from sight. Some say he returned to Earth. Others say he stayed behind, searching for answers in the ruins. Tolan became the new guide for both Zyrans and humans who chose peace. He built a small temple at the place Riza last stood, not to worship her, but to remember her. Years passed, legends grew. Children spoke of the girl with glowing eyes, the one who turned a weapon into light, the one who chose peace when war called. And on quiet nights, when the moons rose high, a soft light could sometimes be seen above the forest. Faint, but warm. Some said it was her, watching. Others said it was just hope, but one thing was certain. The war ended because she chose to rise. Not as a soldier, not as a weapon, but as something greater. A bridge between worlds. A final breath of balance and a story the stars would never forget.